We're going to get started with the agenda, and following that will be the public portion of the meeting. We have minutes from September 5th. We will have a public hearing later in the public agenda when it's a bid protest for the air conditioning unit replacement contract. There are no ordinances on second reading. We have ordinances on first reading. O-11120, an ordinance to amend and revise general ordinance of the city of Brunswick. General provisions, administration, and enforcement. A right turn on red light prohibited from Byron Street onto Joyce Kilmer Avenue North. O-111202, an ordinance to amend and revise general ordinance of the city of New Brunswick. Traffic control regulations, 4-ton truck limit for Zebra Way. Resolutions R-111234, approve agenda amendments. 35, approve payroll from 10/27 through 11/9/2012. 36, authorize refund for redeemed tax sales certificates. 37, approve amendment of resolution R-111204, reason to pay additional legal fees in the amount of $805.10 to Hill Wallet for the matter of Eon versus Guanano and others from $41,281.28 to $42,086.38. 38, approve amendment of resolution R-111205 to pay legal fees in the amount of $663 to Benedict and Altman for Anderson and others versus Anthony Caputo and others from $1,623.50 to $2,286.50. 39, approve amendment of resolution R-091208, pay legal fees in the amount of $37 to Lawrence Bitterman for Rodriguez versus New Brunswick and others representing Officer Christopher Bornheimer from $1,000 to $1,037. 40, approval award of contract. This will be this is what our public hearing is going to be about. We'll get back to that later. 41, rescind resolution R-111216, the sale of additional taxi licenses.
And that, a couple of reasons for that. Nobody had come in to apply for the license. It was required before the auction itself, and there was no consideration as well. So it will be rescheduled in the new year.
42, approve place-to-place transfer, expansion of the licensed premises to patio, a liquor license. The name is Star X Incorporated. 43, approve resolution for Gateway New Brunswick Parking Authority financial agreement. 44, authorize payment for emergency procurement for police department for emergency fuel for city vehicles during Hurricane Sandy on October 28th with Brunswick Filling Station, not to exceed $25,562.74. 45, authorize payment for emergency procurement water utility for fuel delivery for emergency generators at the water treatment plant with McKinney Oil Company, $4,080. 46, authorized payment for emergency procurement for water utility diesel fuel delivery for emergency backup generators at the water treatment plant with, who is this?
Rachel's Michelle's
Oil Company, not to exceed $1,645.62. 47, another emergency procurement for police department, 550 meals provided for seniors during Hurricane Sandy with the Hyatt Regency, not to exceed $5,500. 48, payment for emergency procurement for water utility. A bad circuit breaker in a panel board emergency backup generator reprogrammed with Ruder and Haney, not to exceed $568. 49, approved purchase by the fire department under state contract from Motorola WPCS International for 2 repeater systems, not to exceed $230,243. 50, approved purchase by the fire department under state contract from Motorola for portable and mobile radios and accessories, not to exceed $38,339.20. 51, approved purchase by the fire department under state contract, again with Motorola for 18 Minotaur V pagers, $9,129.60. 52, approved purchase by fire department, again Motorola for 2 portable radios and accessories not to exceed $10,184. 53, approved request for use of city property in closer streets. New Brunswick Recreation, Rutgers University, location below Park and Barry Streets, This is for the Big Chill 5K road race to raise funds for Christmas gifts for underprivileged children, food banks, soup kitchens, and Feed the Hungry programs in New Brunswick. The street closure to College Avenue between Bartlett and Senior Street, Saturday, December 8th, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the park, and then the street closure 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. 54, approved request for use of city property, request by Community Options, Bigelow Park and Pavilion for the National Cupid's Chase 5K race, Saturday, February 9th, 2013, 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the Pavilion, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the track. 55, request for use of city property, sidewalk only, New Brunswick Community Arts Council, location 9, Livingston Avenue, 35 George Street, and 100 Church Street. It's for Christmas caroling choir singing at 3 locations, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. 56, approved relaxation of city noise ordinance and road closure requested by Amquip Crane Company. Remove and replace cellular phone cabinets located on the rooftop of Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital. Saturday, December 8th. Alternate date would be Saturday, December 15th and 22nd, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. 57, approve amendment, resolution R-121157, change order number 4. This is the final one with Top Line Construction Corporation. For Commercial Avenue Road improvements, it's a credit of $7,750. 58, approve amendment, resolution R-101223, change order number 2 with RoCal, 2012 furnishing delivery regulatory signs. The approval of this change order does not constitute an increase of 20%, not to exceed $959. 59, approve amendment of resolution R-091227, change order number 1 with Traffic Lines Incorporated for 2012 bikeway designations. Approval of this change order does not constitute an increase of 20%, not to exceed $331.50. 60, approval award of grant for rehabilitation home improvements for Richard Ginyard and Mary Ginyard, 172 Redmond Street, not to exceed $7,500. 61, authorized payment for emergency procurement, water utility and other departments, emergency fuel for city vehicles during Hurricane Sandy, October 28th, Brunswick Filling Station, not to exceed $14,720.83. 62, authorized tax collector to transfer credits on several tax and utility accounts. 63, approval award of contract to Top Line Construction Corporation for installation of asphalt curbing at Brooklyn Record Village, not to exceed $90,750. 64, resolution acknowledging discussion of, what is this? Calendar year 2012 best practices inventory. 65, approved off-premises raffle at 22 Livingston Avenue for Angie Emmett Memorial Temple, February 24th, 2013. 66, approved amendment, resolution R-061231, change order number 3, it's the final one, with Crossroad Construction for Stamp Street road improvements. Does not constitute an increase of 20%. It's a credit of $18,021.60. 67, authorized payment for emergency demolition of Pentecostal Church at 45 Remsen Avenue with Central Jersey Wrecking, not to exceed $22,767.12. 68, approved payment for emergency service for water department. Weston's Mill Pumping Station, Shoals Electric and Communications, not to exceed $14,415.35. 69, approve amendment of resolution R-091205 with Campbell Freightliner for truck and equipment replacement parts for Public Works Department, not to exceed $4,000. Again, this is not an increase of 20%. 70, approved request for street closing. Spring Street between Church and Patterson Streets, requested by Whitley Smith and Brown. The 3rd annual filming of State of the Firm video, Friday, December 7th, 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. 71, approved resolution for the Lomas Plaza New Brunswick Parking Authority Finance Review. 72, approved request for city property, sidewalk only, sidewalk between the Mason Grove School of Art and State Theater, requested by New Brunswick Development Corporation and Zach Painting for cleaning and painting the fire escapes of the State Theater. Non-pro beginning on November 20th. 73, authorized payment for emergency procurement, emergency fuel for city vehicles during Hurricane Sandy. Brunswick filling station not to exceed $4,665.33. 74, approved Chapter 159 budget research, the State of New Jersey Division Highway Vehicle Safety for fiscal year 2013 pedestrian safety grant, the amount is $15,000. Do you have any add-ons? We have one item for discussion, is the proposed 2013 City Council meeting schedule.
It is all regular on Mondays and Wednesdays, 1st and 3rd, except for September.
Wednesdays.
Monday. It's the standard except for September. And the date in September was going to conflict with Jewish holidays. So we moved it to a Tuesday. If we moved it back, we would have been running into a Friday. If we moved it ahead more than that, we would have been in a preceding week. So think about that. We're not adopting this tonight.
How would that when Bobby wants to do it?
In the morning.
No, when Mr. Rashid wants to, he's not going to be here next year.
Can you get a second?
Hey, public portion meeting will now come to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Escobar is absent. Councilmember Egan.
Here.
Councilmember Fleming.
Here.
Councilmember Garlotti. Present. Council President Racine.
Here. Please be advised that those requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act that the bylaws to satisfy the annual notice gave sufficient notice of time and place and conduct of all public meetings of municipal council of the city of New Brunswick, filed with the city clerk, placed on appropriate bulletin board in the lobby of City Hall, and then transmitted to the official newspaper, name and home newspaper. Pledge allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for all those who lost their lives in conflicts in the Middle East. Thank you. We have minutes from September 5th.
Make a motion to accept the minutes?
Second. Roll call.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Garlotti.
Aye.
Council President Racine.
Aye. We're going to do the public hearing after I go through the agenda. There are no ordinances on second reading. Ordinances on first reading. ODS-111201. An ordinance to amend and revise an ordinance of the City of Brunswick. Administration enforcement. Right turn on red light prohibited from Byron Street on the Joyce Kilmer Avenue North.
I move the ordinance setting down December 5th at 6:30 for public hearing, same date to be advertised.
Second.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Garlotti.
Aye.
Council President Racine.
Aye. O-111202, an ordinance to amend and revise general ordinance of the City of Brunswick traffic control regulations. 4-ton truck limit for a zebra way.
I move the ordinance setting down December 5th at 6:30 for public hearing, same date to be advertised.
Second. Roll call.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Garlotti.
Aye.
Council President Racine.
Aye. We have resolutions R-111234 through R-111274. Is there anyone who wishes to comment on any of these resolutions? Mr. Cradaville.
That's Charles Stradville with the Board of New Brunswick. Wanted to ask about 43 is the Gateway Parking Agreement, and there's also a Wellness Parking Agreement. Wanted to ask what the nature of those agreements is, how much is the pilot payment, how does it work?
There are both agreements for the entity to pay the city in lieu of taxes, because they can. The city negotiated that. Mr. Patterson will have to agree, but they're in the documents that are attached.
Mr. Patterson.
Okay, these are for the parking authorities portion of the project. These are in addition, Gateway in particular, in addition to what the redeveloper is paying. This is so the parking authority pays on their portions. At the Gateway, it's around 160, and at Wellness, it's about 98,000.
Is there a term on those agreements for 30 years?
Yeah, I believe it's 30 years. These are for the portions of the project that are tax exempt, that are the public portions of the project that wouldn't normally pay a tax. So this is different than a normal tax abatement. This is having an agreement so that the parking authority documents that they're going to be making a payment for the retail that's in their space.
Okay, so this is exclusively for the retail, the rental portions of the building, not the back.
Correct. This is different than, there's a separate agreement at Gateway that covers the bookstore space and the rental condominiums. This is for the space that is owned by the parking authority in both projects.
Thank you very much. And I guess I wanted to ask about, I see several things here for the hurricane response. I just want to ask if there was a total figure on how much the municipal government spent.
So I can read that.
No, not yet. The emergency purchases on the agenda, minus the matter, the small matter, item 15, the bad circuit breaker, that was non-storm related. And if you subtract out the emergency purchase to demolish the Pentecostal church, that was not storm related either. All the sum total of all the other emergency purchases on this agenda is about $70,000, and I could not say to you that those are the last that you'll see.
And these will be can be reimbursed by FEMA?
Yes, we're taking, we're keeping the records, and we intend to submit those to FEMA for reimbursement.
Terrific. Number 31 ends in 6-4. Acknowledging discussion of calendar year 2012 best practices inventory. What does that mean?
The state required us to, all municipalities to participate in a best practices survey. We have done that. We're ready to submit it to the state. It requires the city clerk to sign the document, but it also requires you, the governing body, to acknowledge that you've seen the best practices survey. Our score does not require us to lose any state aid. Our score was 88% out of 100, and there's no penalty with regard to state aid as a result of our score.
Anyone else on any of the resolutions?
Let me mention there's no controversy on the Woodman, Smith and Brown. I think there's a representative from the firm here who I want to talk to them some congratulations.
Okay, congratulations.
Move the resolutions?
Second.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Garlotti.
Aye.
Council President Racine.
All right. Do we have any correspondence?
We do. Item number 1 is a copy of an application submitted to the NJDOT from Atlantic Traffic and Design Engineers, Inc. for a proposed mixed-use development. Item number 2 is a notice from the Franklin Township regarding amendments to their development ordinance. Item number 3 is a list from PSC&G regarding customers who were disconnected on October 15, 2012 in the city of New Brunswick. Item number 4 is a notification regarding Verizon's petition to the Board of Public Utilities Board for approval to relocate its local files business. Item number 5 is a letter from the Middlesex County Department of Public Safety and Health regarding their public hearing on amending to the county's solid waste management program. Item number 6 is a letter from Rhodia Inc. regarding the renewal for their temporary discharge permit. Item number 7 is a notification from Wake Companies LLC regarding 258 to 260 Easton Avenue. Item number 8 is a copy from the Freshwater Wetlands General Permit 27 Water Quality Certificate from the DEP. Item number 9 is a copy from the 2013 Solid Waste Division Preliminary Budget from the Middlesex County Utilities Authority. Item number 10 is a no further action and covenant not to sue, Block 51, Lot 19. And item number 11 is a copy from the Groundwater Monitoring Summary Report from PSC&G. Each correspondence was forwarded to the appropriate department for further action.
Thank you. We're going to do the public hearing now on this bid protest. And we're going to
Yeah, with the representatives of BACN and Mary, please come forward.
I have
out of a bid that the city sought for the air conditioning here at City Hall. The low bidder on the face was EACM, and there was a protest filed by Leary, the second low bidder. The principal ground of the, I don't want to speak for Leary, but the principal ground of the protest that concerned us was the asserted absence of subcontract, which is a fatal defect. When we reached out to EACM, we were advised that they had a plumber that they hired on an as-needed basis as an employee. And we asked them, and were furnished yesterday, pay stubs for that employee. But let's see what, I guess we want to hear first from Larry.
Shall I get this to you?
Well, tell us what you got.
Okay,
I need you to introduce yourself, please.
okay, sorry, Nicole from the Leary Heating and Air, the second bidder that's disputing the low bid. What we have here is a statement from the plumbing subcode official saying that the person who does the work does have to be a licensed plumber, which seems like you guys are acknowledging that. The subcontractor disclosure statement from EACM showing they are not using a plumbing subcontractor. Their ownership disclosure statement, which shows that the person, Esther Cambanero, is the 100% owner of that company, and she is not a licensed master plumber. And then we have a copy of the New Jersey statute stating that a contractor has to be owned 10% by a licensed plumber in order for them to do licensed plumbing work. They can't just choose not to subcontract unless they are partially owned by a licensed plumber.
Is that all?
Yes.
We're going to mark them. How many were there? 5?
There's 4.
We're going to mark them as L1, L2, L3, and L4. We want to direct your attention to L4 because I have not heard or seen that previously. Would you give a copy to your adversary there, Trustee?
Yes, absolutely.
I think all 4 submissions want to be received as evidence, and we can ask EACM to comment on item 4 when we get to it. Anything further?
There's previous case law on the second page of my cover letter for a case similar to this. It's the bottom of the first paragraph there. And I guess that basically our point is that if we allow contractors to bid on jobs without listing subcontractors, then we can all just say we're going to go ahead and hire someone that's licensed for any job and undermine the entire bidding process and requiring to meet subs who are licensed.
You have not yet seen the submissions by EACM, but it appears that we have 2 pay stubs for a period of time prior to the submission of the bid, so it wasn't an afterthought.
Right, okay. Unless that person is a partial owner though, they can't use it.
I think that's the point that we brought to our attention. Anything else?
No, that's it, thank you.
Stay right there.
Okay.
Come on up. Tell us who you are.
EACM Corp. Esther Cambanero, President.
And Stephen Cashmore, EACM Corp. Project Manager. The law, first of all, going to the bid documents, there are bid documents that specifically list what subcontractors they require to be listed. and in that case, each subcontractor is listed. The bid documents, in this case, state only,
Tell us what you're referring to, it's probably something we sent out to you.
these are the bid documents for this project from the city of New Brunswick,
Okay, now which page
or
are you?
the architect, and
list of
this is
subcontractors.
00500-11 list of subcontractors.
Okay, go ahead.
In this particular case, it says that the bidder, well, in entirety, the bidder shall list those subcontractors who the bidder intends to employ in executing the work in accordance with local public contracts law. The bidder proposes the following subcontractor firms and/or businesses will be awarded subcontracts for the portions of the work listed below in the event that the bidder is awarded the contract. In no event shall a contractor be allowed to subcontract more than 60% of the total value of the contracted amount. And the bidder further certifies that except as otherwise provided herein, it does not intend to use subcontracts if no subcontractors are listed below. So following that wording,
Before you go to the 60% is not an issue here, is it?
no,
As I understand,
no,
very
the
small
60% is
amount.
not an issue. I didn't want to eliminate any part of the, reading in its entirety. So the only subcontractor that we will employ, following the wording of the list of subcontractors, and again, it is different on other bid documents, but following this wording, we would list only those subcontractors that we intended to employ, that we intend to subcontract work to, issue a purchase order or a separate subcontract. And in that case, it's Starlight Electric, which will be awarded a subcontract for the electrical work. We use, there's a very minimal amount of plumbing work. There's a 2-inch plumbing vent at the roof that needs to be moved over 5 feet to allow to keep it the proper distance off the rooftop unit. You can't have a plumbing vent within 10 foot of the fresh air intake on the unit because you would then pull those odors in the building. So there's a 2-inch line that has to be moved over 5 feet. We have a licensed plumber, and again, I checked with the plumbing inspector, the work is required to be done by a licensed inspector.
No question about that.
No question about that. And we can employ a licensed plumber on an hourly basis as our employee, which we do for small projects. And it gives us a competitive advantage and saves the city of New Brunswick money. If we employ him on an hourly basis, he will file for the permit, we'll pay him on an hourly basis the prevailing wage rate for plumbing work to move this plumbing vent. And therefore, he's not a subcontractor, and by the wording in these contract documents, does not need to be listed. So the laws and so forth that you've been given apply to areas where you would subcontract a plumbing subcontractor, but in this case, that doesn't apply because we're not employing them as a subcontractor, rather than hourly employee.
You are listing him as a subcontractor?
No, we're not listing the subcontractor, he's just doing the work as an hourly employee.
You listed Starlight?
Yes.
Well, Starlight will be
That's it.
used as the electrical subcontractor.
And you showed that?
And we showed that
Yes.
on the documents.
Mhm.
Was there anything else you wanted to add?
You have, I didn't bring this up because our attorney, Kerry Higgins, had sent you the letter that,
I got letters from her, yes.
yes, so are they going to be presented to the board or submitted? I have it here in electronic form,
I
but
had not, what's the subject?
if you want to read it there, that'll refresh your memory. In regards to public law and a particular case as to what's considered a substantial defect and what's not a substantial defect. And it was her understanding based on public law that this is not a substantial defect.
I don't think anything she raised in her letter is necessary for us to consider. She was raising some of the other issues
Okay,
that
so,
Larry had
okay.
raised that we thought, and Nicole has not advanced them here tonight, we thought they were not significant and would not affect the validity of the bid. The thing we were concerned about was the absence of the subcontractor. We thought that had been satisfied on the basis of this payroll submission, which
right.
we guess we probably ought to have more.
He's an hourly employee and you do not have to be a percentage owner of a business to be an hourly employee.
That's right. We can mark these two as EACM 1 and 2, please. And
Yes, two things I want to mention. He actually brought up a key point saying that using an in-house employee gave them a competitive advantage with the bid. We're signatory with Union Local 9, and we would be able to call up and hire a plumber for a job, but it's the law that you use a subcontractor when you are not owned by a plumber. My company is not owned by a licensed plumber, so in following public bidding laws, we need to hire a subcontractor that is a licensed master plumber, not just hire a person direct to our payroll. And he also mentioned that his plumber would be filling out a permit for the project if he's awarded the job. Would that permit be in EACM's name, or would it be in the plumber's name? Because the plumber is likely a separate entity that is going to be filling out a permit under his company's name or his name personally, not a direct employee of EACM.
My recollection is that Mr. Gilbert is a DBA, he's got a company. But I think the more serious concern is the absence of the ownership.
Correct.
Yeah, again, I'm going by the specific wording in the bid document. And that is, if he's going to be hired, we're gonna hire him as a subcontractor, then he's gonna be listed, we're hiring him as an individual. It's not necessary to list him. And it was the direct, it's the exact wording of the bid document that threw us off.
So, mechanical.
Give me a minute to look at the statute again.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this statute before.
I believe Roman electrical contractors, is that what varies from bid to bid, whose number is the best. It varies from bid to bid, whose number is the best, we consistently.
If you want to let us look at this, take a break, and then take the rest of your public comment, and then come back and finish it.
Yeah, I think
I'm
so.
sure we want to wrap this
I
up.
want you to be sure on this, if we're gonna act on it tonight, otherwise we'll hold it, because I want to make sure we're sure.
We're going to look at this in the corner before any decisions are made.
Thank you.
Does any member of the council wish to address the public?
I just wanted to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving and a safe holiday weekend.
Deal with the traffic that started earlier.
Yeah. Same thing for me, as Betsy said, that you and your families, very happy Thanksgiving.
Likewise, and just remember, there's still people that are suffering right now. A lot of us, I'm grateful after being out of my house for so long to be able to come back to a nice warm house, but there's still people, even down the shore, some people all over the place that are still suffering. I mean, I saw devastation on Staten Island, places that I was just at a couple weeks ago, and now the whole place, everywhere is like obliterated. It's gonna be a long time before they recover. So if you just take time out to think about them when you're around your table, even spiritually and physically, if you can give to a credible charity or anything like that, every little bit helps. You know, every little bit helps for every family.
Again, happy Thanksgiving, but I'm part of what Glenn said. If you know anybody that suffered any damage to their homes, make sure they contact FEMA, because a percentage of that is going to be reimbursable, but they have to get registered, and they have to get the paperwork in before a certain time period. I don't know, 60 days or what, but they make sure, if you know anybody, that they do it now and not to wait any longer. Anyone from the public wish to address the council? Mr. Crabbe?
Charles Cradville, 5th Ward, New Brunswick. A lot's happened since the last meeting. I wanted to ask about the church fire. What happened and why was the building torn down?
I don't know if you know the cause of it yet, but the building was torn down because it was not safe.
It was deemed structurally unsafe by the construction official. The pastor of the church, I believe, was out of town at the time, and the construction official was not comfortable with the building staying in the condition it was for any additional time, and recommended that it be taken down as an emergency purpose.
So I guess the cause is still under investigation.
I don't know the answer. Maybe Kevin McCann. Oh, Don, I'm sorry.
It's undetermined right
Thank you. I wanted to commend all the city leaders who supported the Wellness Center project. I'm sure if you haven't been to the supermarket yet, you'll be there really soon. It's really nice. I'm one of the folks who was able to get a job at the supermarket, and I'm really proud to be part of the team that's, opening that business. It's very successful so far. I think one thing that we could do better is the parking situation there. I know that it's not necessarily out there in the community yet that the parking is free if you spend $10 in the store. I also know there have been issues with employees who were promised free parking, and sometimes when they go to leave, there's no one there to let them out, and they end up having to pay. So I know the parking authority director's not here, but if someone could please pass that along, that should be remedied. Folks there need to enjoy that free parking, and I know there's plans for them to have to pay, but I think they should enjoy free parking as long as there's room in the deck. I also have to ask about some of the violence that's happened in the city. I know there were, I think, 2 murders since the last council meeting. Is there any update as to the cause of that or the investigations?
With the last 2 murders, the last murder, which happened on November 12th, that's been solved and the suspect has been arrested. The one previous to that, which was 2 days before that one's still under investigation.
And what was the cause of the one that was solved?
What was the cause?
The motive, or what transpired?
Well, the suspect shot the victim. As far as the motive, I think that's not stuff that we're discussing right in this meeting.
Okay, so do we know if this was, for instance, gang-related or drug-related?
You know, I know you can't release too much about
Yeah, any details of the homicide, I'm not going to discuss, what led up to it, at that point.
Just wanted to also wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and a safe recovery from the hurricane. God bless. Have a good weekend.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Tormel Pittman. I want to also wish everybody, I'm not going to be that long, but happy Thanksgiving, and also, to the people that suffered, from the hurricane, glad that, we're back attempting to get up to speed. It was like a real trying time for this area, because I don't think we've ever seen something to that magnitude or that devastation, and I was proud of the city for everyone working together, loaning generators out, gas cans, flashlights. We all, for the most part, everyone stuck together. But I have one inquiry about the gas station that was designated to all of the city employees that was on Front Street. I wanted to know, what was that about?
Well, first of all, it wasn't to all the city employees, it was for emergency and essential personnel only. So it wasn't like any employee could just go there. It was restricted to those employees.
Could they gas up in their personal cars?
Mr. Lockland?
They could gas up their personal cars, and they had to pay cash at the pump for that product. We were also gassing up city vehicles, diesel and non-diesel, at that location. It was the only gas station operating at the time. Our police department caused it to be energized in the first place. We did not have fuel deliveries of diesel or regular gas to either our DPW yard or the police fueling station. We bought diesel gas from them to keep the generators going at the water treatment plant. But any essential city personnel who gassed up there paid for their gas with cash. It was not open to every city employee.
I understand they paid. That's not the question. What departments were allowed to go to this gas station?
There have been various ones where were essential personnel. People from Dave Levin's departments, police department, fire department, people in City Hall, housing. Whomever was here as an essential employee was allowed to go there.
Okay. And my question is this then. Was it exclusively to those people? Was it excluded to the public? Could the general public also patronize this gas station? And I have the answer to that.
Mr. Lockland?
Not for a period of time, and I'm going to use, without having the specifics, the first week or so post the storm damage hitting, that station exclusively provided gas to emergency vehicles, fire trucks, ambulances, police cars, and again, the vehicles of essential personnel. We told non-essential personnel to stay home, do not come into City Hall, don't come to Civic Square, but the essential personnel who were identified were required to get here. The decision was made that those folks probably did not have any other gasoline options anywhere else within their commuting distance, and for a period of time, they were allowed to gas up again at their own cost.
Was there an email sent out? How were you notified who was allowed to go to and who wasn't?
The essential personnel are notified either by phone or email.
By email?
Either or, I don't know. I don't
The essential personnel spoke with each other every day.
Probably
The
by
communication was really probably by word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
JT, did you feel differently than that?
I think it's probably by word of mouth.
So that means that, it was word of mouth. So that means that, because I actually went to this gas station. I went there about 3 days back to back. I seen all sorts of people. It wasn't just essential personnel. It was anyone that worked at the city.
That is not true.
It was true.
That's not true.
It was true.
Give me an example.
My wife, she works for the city. She's a secretary. She gassed up.
And she was asked
She
to come in.
signed the clipboard.
Was
I
she
told her to sign the clipboard.
Yeah, she was
Is
required
she
to.
considered essential personnel?
She was asked to come in, wasn't she?
Was
when
she
the other
considered
nurses-
essential personnel?
Apparently she was.
Was she asked to come in?
No, she wasn't.
That's not true.
She wasn't. But for any city employee, they gassed up. And the problem that I had is not just the city, but that gas is stationed within Brunswick. You have people like me who've been patronizing that gas station for years. I go get ice from there, I go get my gas from there, and I sat there and watched these people in an emergency being told to take off while you see someone that would have never even thought to ride through French Street, go ride past them and get gas and drive off with no line. While the people that patronize that gas station is told to go find another gas station and wait in the line with a gas can of 50 people.
We're working under a state of emergency for the storm. And I think it's highly appropriate.
So you should think of the community first.
To go to that gas station and gas up so they can serve those people that go to that gas station. If those people that go to that gas station needed an ambulance, needed a fire department, needed a police department, those people had gas to do their jobs to help those people.
I didn't see not one fire truck.
That's fine, you might not have seen it, but they were there, you weren't there 24/7 either.
So, but I was riding past
You
it
weren't there 24/7.
every time I went there. Okay,
That's fine.
all right. Well, that's the smallest gas station in the city of New Brunswick.
Look, it's done.
Listen,
They're
wait.
all-
I'm
It's
not
done.
talking about
State
that.
of emergency.
I'm not talking about that.
Build our
I'm
needs.
not talking about that.
That's what we're
I'm
talking
not
about.
talking about that.
Yes, we are.
I'm talking about something. This is the smallest gas station in the city of New Brunswick. I understand you had 6 officers there, but was there a reason to have a homicide detective standing there with a clipboard? Definitely get this word, answer that.
He doesn't need to
Thank you.
answer that.
I can answer it. During the state of emergency, we change our protocol. Detective, sergeant, lieutenant, no matter where you are, everybody comes in, we work 12 hours on, 12 hours off, no days off, we just rotate until the emergency was over. Everybody's just a police officer that day. It doesn't matter what your rank is, or your designation, or your standard job title, we just work to get the job done.
6 officers, a 2-pump gas, 6 officers. Okay, all right, it's a state of emergency. So you couldn't find any other, I've seen other officers patrolling. You had to have a homicide detective while there's still about 7 unsolved murders in New Brunswick. And not to mention that, 4 days after that homicide detective is at that gas station, you have a rash of murders. So me personally, I seen the same detective at a gas pump with a clipboard. Then a few days later, I see him at a candlelight vigil in homicide mode. What does that tell the community? That tells the community that officer is a joke. That's what that tells the community.
It tells the community that the officer is fully involved in the community and doing his job as
I'd rather see the officer somewhere trying to solve unsolved murders. How could you explain that to their families? How can you explain that you had a homicide detective pumping gas while their child is dead and nobody's held accountable?
If you don't like it, that's, I mean, I'm giving you.
I don't
the answer.
like
If you
it.
don't like it, well, that's up to you, that's your prerogative.
I don't like it.
Fine.
All right, being that you have no concern, could you name the 3 people that were just murdered
No,
recently?
I can't.
You can't?
No.
So that's not a priority to you?
I can say that. You asked if I can name, I said I can't.
I have, this is my, all right, I have a question. This,
Anything else?
yes,
Anything else?
yes. All right, the young lady was murdered about 4 weeks back on Hell Street. No police presence afterwards. A few weeks later, you got a young man, a 17-year-old, murdered. 40 yards away. No police presence. 2 days later, you have another 24-year-old man murdered. No police presence. You guys even elected, instead of putting a mobile precinct on Hell Street, you had it 3 blocks over on Seaman Street. So I want to know, I just have one question. What is the mission statement of the neighborhood police team? Because you promised the community that you would have officers walking the beat, you would have more community interaction, you would have officers visible, and after 3 murders within a 3 weeks time frame in the same area 40 yards apart, no police walking the beat whatsoever, I think the first one is unfortunate, but I think the second 2 could have been avoided.
That's your opinion.
No, that's a fact.
It's your opinion.
That's a fact.
It's your opinion.
That's a fact.
All right, fine.
That's why you're about to leave.
Excuse me?
Yeah, you're about to leave.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
You got a problem with that?
yeah. No, I'm happy.
Good, I'm glad.
I'm happy. You're taking this personal because I'm upset about the lack of.
Because you're saying things that aren't true.
What's not true that I said?
We're gonna get an answer right
Okay,
now.
go ahead.
You asked about the neighborhood police team. The neighborhood police team has been sent to specific areas that have seen violent crime. They interview the residents, business owners, collect information about their concerns and problems, gather intelligence about the neighborhood. To address the homicide specifically, without giving details of the homicide, and Mr. Gratibald, I'll go back to one more thing. The reason why I cannot tell you about motive is because it hasn't seen a courtroom yet. And if I was to reveal the motive, it could jeopardize the case. But that's why I don't comment on this stuff. Mr. Pittman, I'm not done talking. If you interrupt me, I'm not going to answer your question.
I didn't say anything.
Okay?
I just
Stood up. Okay. Just saying. Okay? Regarding homicides, homicides can't be prevented. Okay? When someone puts their mind to cause a violent act, they're going to do it. That's a social problem in that person's head. The police, we're not mind readers. We don't know where a crime is going to happen. What we can do is try to prevent precursors of the crime, specifically guns and drugs. Without going into details of the homicide, the majority of the homicides that happened this past year had drugs involved with them. We have a narcotics unit that investigates the drugs to try to get them off the street. We have other units, Detective Bureau, neighborhood police team, and street crime going after guns. Mr. Pittman, since you asked, I'll give you a specific example.
No, talk to him, because I'm not.
Okay. Mr. President, since Mr. Pittman asked, I'll give you a perfect example. Last month, we raided Mr. Pittman's house. We took heroin, gun, bulletproof vest, police scanners, and counterfeit money out of his house. The police department used that as a precursor to violent crime. Now, did that prevent a homicide? Again, we don't read people's minds, but we took a bunch of violent products out of a house that could precursor that. Again, we can't stop every homicide, we're not on every warrant. But do the best we can, and we try to stop what we can.
Hold up. So because my uncle was arrested, you bring that up in the council meeting?
You asked.
Huh? You bring that up in the council meeting? But that's still, listen, I'm not even going to address that because I'm not on trial. My uncle was. First off, I'd like to correct you. You didn't solve a homicide. You just made an arrest. Was the person that was arrested a few days ago, were they tried and convicted?
I was just saying that, it was only a couple days ago. It was in courtroom months from now.
Okay, now I have another question. He said he couldn't tell, he can't decide who's going to have a murder, who's going to commit a murder, right? I understand that, but we're dealing with different circumstances. Have you ever had a murder within 1 month, 3 people murdered on the same block, 40 yards apart within 1 month? Had that ever happened in history in New Brunswick?
Not that I'm aware of.
So I understand the first one. I can relate to him with the first one. But what about the other 2? Can you make an excuse for the other 2?
No, I don't think he's making an excuse unless it's shown through investigation that they were related. I think his comments stand.
There's nothing to show that.
And if you know that they're related somehow, you should tell.
I should tell what? I should do his job? Or I should do the guy's job that's at the gas station pumping gas? I should do the homicide detective's job that's at the gas station pumping gas? That's what you want me to do?
I want you to be.
You want me to do his job?
I want you to be a
So he can stay at the gas station? That's what you want? You want me to do a homicide detective job while I'm out in the streets doing police work while he's at a gas station telling people from that community that they can't get gas? While somebody in Rutgers Village pull up and get filled up? Yeah. Deal with me, don't talk about Corey. You scared of me.
I didn't mention your
Mention my name. Don't mention
I
Corey.
said it was your house.
Mention my name. Don't mention Corey.
You weren't arrested.
Mention me. All right.
Enough.
All right. So what's Corey have to do with it?
You didn't mention your uncle's name.
Julia, I'll follow you.
Anyone else?
Yes, my name is Danielle Moore. I live at 211 Joyce Comer Avenue. I've been there for 35 years. I think I spoke to you about 6 weeks ago about the traffic safety in my area. The reason why I'm coming forward with this, that's within the last 3 months. It seems like ever since the construction on Remsen Avenue, where all the police officers over there, which I don't see a specific reason, that's where we have at least 3 or 4 accidents between Sanford and Joyce Comer, Howard and Joyce Comer, and Columbus and Joyce Comer, hit and runs. And like I said, as long as I've been living there, I'm not outside 24/7. I have nothing to go, I don't have any problem with the police department. But yes, where are all the police during the day and night? Where I would like to ask you, what is so concerned about having 4 police cars in that location from starting with Remsen and Saddam Street, going down to Redmond? Is there a purpose for all those police cars with the construction going on?
I don't know for sure, we can check on, but in those instances, it's usually an extra duty police officer hired by a construction company. So they're not on
That's
duty
exactly
with
what
the
that is.
city.
Those officers are not on duty. They're hired by the
So
construction
they
company.
get
for
paid
this
when they're
job.
hired by the construction company.
Okay, because my point was, well, you know, I do take pictures to prove my point. That's to show how all the roads are already blocked off, and it said road closings, where if you notice how, okay, if the road is already blocked off, why do you have police cars blocking them off? Where can they be out giving tickets to slow these young boys down with causing these accidents before someone does get killed?
Again, these officers were hired by the construction company for that purpose. They're not on duty for the city of Brunswick.
Well, okay, if that's how it worked, please, the same day of the fire, right there on Redmond and Remsen Avenue. This is for the police department and the Board of Education. Once again, I have nothing against them, but when it comes to safety, I will step forward. Well, okay, even though these officers were hired for the construction site, like I said, I do have pictures on the next corner where right by Lord Sterling School, you had the whole block down with poles and wires, allow these children to go to school Wednesday and Friday, not a police car to block the area off.
I believe that the schools provided security when the kids were coming in and out to stop that area of Redmond Street. They didn't allow any kids to go down that side. They could concur because we had the shelter. The shelter was in the school as well. We had that completely directed where everyone was going.
Well, you know, once again, I did not say anything in regards, I know you saw me over there that day taking pictures, where I do have pictures stating there was no security, no police car available for safety to guide these kids. And like I said, I have pictures right here to show with these kids coming in the area. You have no police officers available for safety. And when the workers saw me taking pictures, then that's when they came and put caution tape up, which you did see me over there taking these pictures that day, and even Friday, where same thing. No police officer, no safety for the kids. I have the pictures to show how kids were still all over there. Like I said, I have nothing against it, but my point is, where are all the police officers when they're needed for safety?
I don't even know how to answer that question because the police officers are on patrol they're apt, if they should have been, I'm not aware of that situation. Mr. Blevins said that there were security people, or actually said there were security people. If they weren't there until you got there, as you say, then that should be addressed, and it should be addressed as to through the Board of Education and what they did or did not do during that time.
Just to correct a couple of things, the school security were out there directing the children to the George Street entrance of Lord Sterling School at all times when the children were coming to school and leaving. She said that they put the construction tape, or that emergency tape, the yellow tape up while she was there. That had actually been there the entire week after the telephone poles started to leak. They were not put up when she came. They were put up repeatedly because people in that neighborhood actually tore them down. Unfortunately, one of the families across the street permitted their children to go out and play in the street there, and my staff and the school security had to move them away from those downed wires several times. But when the children were coming to and from school on Wednesday and Friday, school security were out there directing them all to go around to the George Street entrance. I was personally outside during part of the time when they were coming to school, not when they were leaving. If a parent was walking a child to the school and insisted on walking through there, I saw that happen a couple of times, but no children were walking by themselves. There were parents, adults, who did walk children along the Lord Sterling School side of the street, not through the middle of the street where the wires were down. That's what I personally observed.
Well, like I said, I don't want to cause any trouble, but like my situation is where, while I'm not outside 24/7, but believe me, the police department, they knew I'm outside very often. And for the first time, wow, between yesterday and today, where wow, I finally seen an officer in the area, sitting in the area, giving out tickets. Where my point is, like I said, before someone gets killed, where, please, if you can send a few more, I'm not saying 24/7, but
hopefully increase the patrols in that area if this is happening on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah, oh,
That's
believe
a
me,
good
it's
idea.
on record.
Yeah.
Like I said, at least 3 to 4 accidents in 1 month from Sanford and Joyce Comer, Howard and Joyce Comer, and Columbus and Joyce Comer, where I stay. And that's the only reason why I'm coming forward, is just to ask for more security and safety.
Okay.
I have nothing against the police department or the Board of Education, but like I said, to prove everything I was saying, I do have the pictures to show with the safety, even with the kids with these wires, if you would like to see them.
You can give them to the clerk.
Excuse me.
Are we going to have those, hopefully get the patrol increased a little bit by Joyce Comer, and ticket some mosquitoes on there, because there are a lot of children.
We're to show you the kids were coming across, and he was just putting up more tape, and to show how no one was out there guiding the kids where they're still right in front of the wires.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, I'm just
Danielle,
asking.
can I ask you a question? You were here a couple weeks ago, you were interested in speed humps on Columbus. Have you submitted
Yes,
the
that's
petition yet?
where I'm still working on it. Due to with the storm and power outage and everything, my next meeting, I will have that for you. Thank you very much for asking.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Neal?
Yeah, I didn't mean to say anything, but I was watching, looking at the pictures that Danielle had, and we're talking about George Street and Redmond Street. We're talking about, on George Street, we're talking about an area that's designated and as a place of attention for restaurants and all that. My thing is they requested in me, which I have no action behind, because I'm for everybody, and I just want things done right when you have resources. If those poles were leaning on George Street, would it have got the attention, would it got more attention on George Street than on Redmond Street? And what I'm saying, when they pose a lane like that, to me, that should have been a priority, being it's near school and et cetera. But, you know, Redmond Street is a distressed area, and George Street is a designated area for people to go, and that's the way the city is. It seems like all the streets from George Street on up is in a distressed zone. They don't get the attention that downtown George Street gets. And to me, this is one of do you care about me? I mean, Ray Charles could see it. I could see it. Like, of course, we're not going to say that you know, it don't mean as much, but, you know, I've been living in the city all my life, and I know when someone cares about something, that's a dangerous situation where those poles are leaning like that and it's near school. And to have a security guard come out and look at it and not have that area roped off or secured as if it was. I bet you if it was leaning like that on the other side of George Street, I bet you would have had it roped off and secured better. And I know, I can tell by the intention that we wouldn't do that. You know, we nice people.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Robert Solano. This is the first time talking to the city council. I've been running soccer since 1990 without any help from the city or any subsidy from the state. We used to do it at home because that's part of our culture, play soccer over the weekends. We do have different divisions. We have the kids, the women's, and the adults. It comes to my attention that lately, for the last years, the price has been going up for the uses of the gym. I came tonight to see if there's anything the city council can do. I never ask anything for free, never. Nevertheless, we pay for the uses of the park, which, you know, we spend over $16,000 every year on using the park, using the stadium, and never had a problem with it. We carry our own insurance, never have a problem with the fees. But this time, the fee for the Board of Education is really high. It's over $3,000 just to play 12 hours on a Saturday and 12 hours on a Sunday. If there's anything you guys can do just to keep this program going, we have over 3,500 members, but in the winter we only play probably 500, 600 members, but most likely it's the kids that use the gym. How can we reduce this price? How can you guys help me? It's really easy. We have 2 security guards that they just sitting around in the same spot for 12 hours, and 1 custodian guard. If you can just help us, just get 1 security and 1 custodian, it will definitely help us, you know, with at least 50% off. I do have an issue last year, and as a matter of fact, I emailed Mr. Rebecca Escobar and Mr. Kevin Nathan about an issue that usually I pay before I use the gym. That night, on a Sunday, there was only 1 security guard and 1 custodian, and I brought that attention to the niece, the one that I deal with the contract. And she swear that there was 2 guys, you know, on a Sunday, and I said, no, listen, I'm not playing this game. I'm not here just to make your life miserable. I'm not here just to, you know, give you a hard time, no. But the reality, it was only 1 security, which was replaced by somebody else. And the 1 custodian, so I'm just letting you know that, you know, that you just get away with it. She got really mad, you know, she sent me an email that she would never, you know, rent for me again because I wasn't having a problem. I emailed Mr. Egan and Rebecca Escobar. The next day, she emailed me, you back here. But, you know, this is a game that's going on for the last years. So I wonder if there's anything you guys can do just to reduce the price. I have a copy of the invoices that I paid, like on a weekly basis, $3,000. So if there's anything, yeah, we have people that are saying that I make money out of it. How do I make money out of it if we pay that much money? How? People always talk like that because they envy. When you are successful in this program, they're always going to say that you make money out of it. How? It's just like you guys here. You guys run this city. Some people don't like you. You know why? Because you guys doing the right thing. I've been in the city for 25 years. I've been active since 1990. Politically, yes. I go up there and raise a lot of kids, 18 years old and up. This year I registered 750 voters, Mexican descendants, first generation that would ever vote. And at least I made them register. Maybe they didn't go to vote, but I registered them and they're ready. And that's why I'm here. I wanted to ask you in a good faith, if you can ask and help me, I really appreciate it. If not, it's okay. We start this program.
Have you approached the Board of Education besides not counting the superintendent or anybody on the board?
I did approach Mr. Kaplan 5 years ago.
Besides any of the board members?
I do, but you know what? They just give you the runaround around. Mr. Spencer, Mike Blackwell. This program should be around by Mike Blackwell. I say, why don't you run this program? We volunteer. You guys got the money, pay for it. If not, help me out with at least 50% off, or at least with something. This program is for the kids. You see how many kids we have playing in the summer? Over 500 kids. And we pay for the fields. And I never had a problem with it. We pay for those fees, and we have no problems with it. Even today, we don't have no goals. I purchase my own goals. We have no lines. I line my own fields. I have no goal nets. I purchase my own nets. Corner flags. I do it. Sometimes I have to call, somebody needs to go and put the light for $60, even though it's already paid. We do it, no problem. We just want to play. You know, and this time I approaches everybody. And tonight is my last chance. This is my last call because I already went through everybody. Spencer, Mr. Kaplan, Mike Blackwell, everyone. And they say, yes, we call you, yes, tomorrow. You know what, I don't see no result. The kids need to play. And if there's nothing you guys can do, it's fine, I walk away, you know. I walk away, this is it, I mean, what worst case scenario, the kids are gonna be in the street anyway, so. And this is kids between 9 to 15 years old, and women's between 16 to 30, and adults from 18 all the way to 35. And the most important thing is that I carry my own insurance for any damage. If any breaks down, that's my insurance. That's the purpose of having insurance. Just to make sure that everything is replaced the way it was if it gets break. I have the papers you wish to see it.
Talk to me after the meeting.
Sure, thank you.
Anyone else?
Council President, you want to have a closed session to talk about the bid matter, or you want to?
Yes.
You want a motion?
I need a motion.
I make a motion to go into closed session.
Matter of litigation.
For matter of
Roll
litigation.
call.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Garlotti.
Aye.
Council President Racine.
You ready? Count, you ready?
I'm ready.
Motion to go back in the public
Motion to go back into public
Second.
session?
Roll call.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Garlotti.
Aye.
Council President Racine.
Aye. Ms. Hamilton?
Yeah, I think the two bidders have you know, both presented their cases and have heard the discussion that was in public here, and I think the public's heard that as well. In closed session, there was a consensus that the statute applies and that that really knocks out the EACM Corporation and would make the award for Bill Leary Air Conditioning and Heating. That hasn't been voted on yet, it's going to be voted on now. I've got alternate forms of resolution for Council President, there's alternate forms of resolution. And unless there's something else to be said, I think that the Council President ought to put up the form down in the middle that says the award to WHL Enterprises Inc. trading as Bill Leary Air Conditioning and Heating, 6 Green Street, Kentucky.
Which is resolution R-111240.
Anybody have anything further? There's at least one set of people that I'm happy with.
Any?
The parties, no longer a little better.
Any comment by EACM?
Not at this point.
Thank you, sir. You must have been caught a little by surprise, we were.
Thank you.
See the public system.
Any questions from the public? That's in the, motion.
I make a motion to approve the resolution, 111-240.
And this is the WHL Enterprises trading as Bill Leary Air Conditioning and Heating.
Correct.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Garlotti.
Aye.
Council President Racine.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody involved.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Oh, wait, before you, Dan, where's Daniel? I wanted to welcome Daniel back on our clerk. He was out sick for quite some time. He had come back, I guess the first meeting he's been back, but I wanted to welcome him. He looks good, and he had some health issues, but, like, God, so.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Garlotti.
Aye.
Council President Racine.
Aye.